Hey, my friend, it's Melanie Ferguson, your host of Creatives on Fire, the podcast where I hope to inspire you to create a profitable six-figure following online. So turn it up and listen in to amazing stories of success, along with behind-the-scenes secrets and valuable tips from, you guessed it, Creatives on Fire. Hey, my sweet friend, Melanie here. I have a couple of questions for you. I want to ask you if you are struggling at all with overwhelm, feeling like you need to be in a million places, not having enough time. Maybe you struggle with feeling like you're not good enough. Or who am I? Who am I to be sharing this with my audience? That imposter syndrome that a lot of us struggle with. What about just knowing what the next step is you should take in your business? Does any of this resonate with you? If so, I'd love to invite you to Creatives on Fire Insiders. This is an amazing group of creatives who are finding success and growing their businesses together. It's designed to stop the overwhelm, to build your confidence, and to guide you through the next steps you should take in your business. A lot of our focus inside is on video and live video specifically, how to get good at it, how to really capitalize on the time that we spend in our businesses. If this sounds like anything that interests you, come spend some time with us, because let's face it, who you spend your time with matters. Check us out at creativesonfireinsiders.com. We'll see you there. Welcome back to the podcast. And this week, it is my special privilege to interview someone that I have admired from afar for a little while now, Miss Virginia Kerr. She has a business called This is Video School, where she teaches online entrepreneurs how to grow their following with video. She previously was a news anchor in several markets, the last one being St. Louis, and she has effectively grown her Instagram over the last few months to almost 200,000 followers. She has also been very successful over on TikTok with almost 1 million followers. So, Virginia, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. Is there anything I've left out? I know there's a million things we could say, but is there anything crucial that you think we should add?
Well, I was in news for a long time, but how I learned what I do now is I was a host, producer, and at one point a television show owner. And my biggest goal was to tell stories of people making a difference in the community. And the majority of them were business owners. So that's how I learned how to really get in there and figure out what makes them tick, what makes them special, what makes them stand out so that the audience could connect with them before they pitch their products.
Awesome. I think that's probably something that's definitely helping you with the teaching of others as well in your school. So when you first got started on the social media platforms, were you already on there all along like your news career, or did you just start from scratch?
I was on Facebook. I was on Instagram, but didn't use it. And I started a new account in 2019. And that's when I started to figure out that I wanted to go down this path of video coaching. When I got on Instagram, I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. I just wanted to figure it out at that point.
Gotcha. Which is unlike most of us, like most
Right.
of us. So what do you think worked best for you when you were just starting to ramp up? I mean, was it a slow grow, or did you just take off? Did you have a viral post all of a sudden, or how did it all kind of play out for you?
It did not happen all of a sudden. It started with me making baby goals for myself. And every day I had to do something on Instagram, and I had to look at it as a learning experience. I wasn't focused on how many views or how many likes or how many followers I was going to get. I really just wanted to experiment with it and see what worked and what didn't work. I've been in television for nearly 20 years, but terrified of social media video. And on Instagram, I started off by figuring out stories. So one day I said, I have to get on camera and talk for 15 seconds, and it doesn't matter what I talk about. I have won the day if I just put my face on video for 15 seconds in stories. And that is what I did. I had laryngitis. It was on a Saturday. I had nothing important to say, but I won the day because I did what I said I was going to do. So every day I was doing something like that. One day it was live, one day it was an IGTV, and I was testing the topics to see what people cared about. And what was the easiest for me to talk about was video, because that's what I'd done for my entire career. And I liked it. I tell people, if you're not passionate about what your thing is going to be, you're going to get bored and burn out really fast. So you have to be someone who knows more than most people about this thing, and you have to be passionate about it and like to talk about it every day.
So once you decided that you were going to start small and you were just going to kind of win the day with these small little habits, what happened from there?
Well, it wasn't just going on Instagram. So at the same time, I started a podcast. And this is where it's going to sound serious, but I don't think it's that serious. I just think this is life. But I had a very good career in television. I had a very good career in network marketing, and I hit all my goals. I was very successful, but I was a workaholic and I was miserable. And I realized that I was running my health into the ground. I wasn't putting my family first. And so before all this started with Instagram, I ripped off the Band-Aid on people pleasing and impressing people. And I said, no more. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing here on earth. Who am I? I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't know what I liked to do other than work all the time. And I didn't really know what made me different than anybody else other than I was a high achiever. So I stopped working and I started playing. So that Instagram was me playing. The podcast was me just getting on, and I had to organize my thoughts, which is very therapeutic. And I had to teach something. Otherwise, nobody was going to listen to a podcast with just me talking about myself. So I was sharing life lessons, and I started to see more clearly who I was, what I like to do, why I did the things I did, why I became a people pleaser. And then I decided I'm going to start playing on TikTok. I don't understand this app. I think it's all for kids, but I know that I like video. I like characters. That's what I did before I started living to impress people, was make believe, costumes, video characters, as much video as you could do back in the 1980s. But that's what I started doing on TikTok, was just playing. It had nothing to do with business. So at the same time, I'm testing content over on Instagram to see what people care about in the business world. But on TikTok, I wasn't about video. It was just me exploring and figuring out the algorithm and what worked. And did I like to do lip syncs? Could I make this video go viral? And I did. I was very successful at making videos go viral, but I was also successful at making really cringy videos. And I learned from that too. And fast forward, when Reels started on Instagram last year, I had already started a second TikTok account that was just for video tips, because I figured out the algorithm on the first TikTok account. Now I wanted to apply it to business. And I had started a business coaching, or a video coaching business at that point. And I started to not put characters in it yet, but I merged my goofy personality with my tips on that TikTok account, and that really took off. So when Reels started, I had it down. I knew how to get someone's attention and keep them for 15 seconds. And so when Reels started, I went all in on Reels. I posted a Reel every single day. That's when my Instagram account went from 6,000 quickly to 15,000, and it just kept growing.
And so you got started in essence over on TikTok, which is surprising. And a lot of us are kind of doing the Heisman to the TikTok, but some of us are on there and probably really tearing it up. So when you were playing around on your personal account on TikTok, what did you find that worked the best?
Well, on the first TikTok account was the relatable stuff. So my first character I created was my Southern mom. And so obviously people who have moms can relate, but especially Southern moms, they could relate to that. And then my second character was the Southern Belle from Hell. And these characters are now on my Reels as well. But people like that one because the Southern Belle from Hell I'm from Alabama, represents the voices in our head that tell us that we're not good enough. And it helped me identify where those voices came from my childhood. And people related to that. So relatability was that's why that account exploded. On the second TikTok account, it was because TikTok was exploding. People were getting more and more into video, and they needed those video tips. And hear me out. I'm all about promoting my business. But I know from that Instagram account when I didn't have a business that if you want to sell effectively on social media, you have to bring value to them first. So I never asked for a sale on TikTok. I just kept giving value, kept giving video tips. And I knew I couldn't really connect with my audience. And you still can't, in my opinion. You cannot connect with your audience as much as you can on Instagram, on TikTok. So my goal was to get them from TikTok to come over to Instagram, because in your Instagram stories, that's where you can really build that trust factor and convert people into clients and customers. And the majority of the nearly 1,000 people who've joined my program, they say they have all joined from Instagram, but sometimes I close them over on YouTube. So every platform has a different purpose and strategy, but I really focus on Instagram because it just has the most places where people can connect and really feel like they know you. I mean, that's how we met, was in the DMs on Instagram.
Exactly. I love that story. So let me ask you, what does that look like for like an average person? What does that Instagram account look like when you're talking about actually nurturing those relationships up in the stories? Then where does that leave your feed and where does that leave your reels?
In the beginning, before you get, I'm thinking 50 to 75,000 followers on Instagram, you need to be known for one main thing. And there are different related topics to that one main thing. But if they pull up your account on Instagram, it needs to be very obvious what they're going to get if they were to follow you. That needs to be obvious in your bio. That needs to be obvious on your feed. Your feed is very intentional. Your stories does not, it's intentional. I have a whole strategy for stories, but you can be more random and you can give more behind the scenes personal stuff that doesn't always have to quote unquote teach or inspire your viewer or your audience, because the people who are in your stories, they're your diehards. They're the ones that are really into you. They care about the random thing that you ate or the thing that you bought at Target. But if that's not your niche, you're not going to share that on your feed, because the person on your feed who just landed on your feed is very cold market. They're wanting to know, what in the world are you going to do for them? Prove it to me. So your feed has to be the value-driven content that's going to really make you that go-to expert in your industry for that one thing. And then Reels, what I like about Reels is that it is the number one traffic driver right now to get people to your account. But if you do Reels the right way, you can also nurture your existing audience in the process. So you can have a combination of a video that goes viral, and viral is the definition of your regular views, your average views you would get on a reel. But you can drive more people to your account, but still nurture your audience with what the content is. And then I am one of the very few people who talk about Instagram videos because Reels is so trendy right now. But it's the longer videos, like the live videos and what they're now calling Instagram videos instead of IGTV, that really build that authority and that trust when used the right way, that can also convert your followers into customers. So 99% of my sales happen in stories. And I would say the other 1% happen on live and in the captions of my content on my feed.
Awesome. That is explained perfectly, of course, because you teach this. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, I know you kind of recently went from, you had a huge jump in the last few months in followers over on Instagram that I personally noticed. And I wondered, how did you know what you were going to do next? Like, I know you had like a plan and your win of the day type of a thing, but did you have anything else in place to make sure that something specific happened each day?
I have a strategy for now I've come a long way since I was dabbling on Instagram. So now I have a strategy for what type of content to put in stories. I have what I call my minimum daily goal and my maximum daily goal, because every day is different. And I also have goals as far as how much content I'm going to put on my feed. It's really interesting that you just asked me this, because I did have a huge spike in growth. And that was because I was using my strategy that I use right before I promote my course. And so I go full throttle. I'm posting a lot more. But what happened during that is, and I'm focusing on my content. People call them pillars. I call them categories. But what really drove that growth were 3 videos, 3 reels that went viral. And when I say viral on my account, it was over 1 million or close to 1 million. And the two videos that were character reels, which everybody's different. I'm not suggesting everyone has to do character reels, but I'm the person that likes to dress up with wigs. Those were what I call the People Pleasers Express series that I do. So you heard me talk about how I'm a people pleaser, or I was a people pleaser. So I learned a lot during all of that, trying to figure out why I do what I do, and I answer yes to everybody. And I turned that into a character. And because so many of us deal with that lack of boundaries, wanting to be accepted and people like us, that it really people can identify with that. So that's why that particular spike happened. But this is also a lesson. Will all those people be ideal followers for me? I don't know. But I was able to go a little bit more random and multi-passionate after like I said, hit that 50,000 mark. So now, even though it's not specifically about video, it's something that my ideal client can relate to and she can use. But I want to say this too. This is not what you asked me, but this is something that is on my mind a lot. That was a really challenging season for me, because what happens, and I know your audience can get this, when we see any kind of growth or huge reward on a platform, we start to get a little addicted to that number. And now we want to keep that number. And we're so worried because the more followers you get on Instagram, the more people who unfollow you every day as well. So you have to keep that reach up. So today I'm at 178,000 followers. I will not be surprised if I go back to 177,000 followers today, because I stopped posting that much. I was posting every day, sometimes more than once a day. That's not sustainable. And I don't want to put that on a person to think that they have to live, eat, and breathe the Instagram algorithm to grow a business on Instagram, because it's not true.
Right. It's very easy, and a very easy trap to fall into, especially in the workaholic genre.
Yes.
So
and it doesn't make you feel good. It
No.
really can mess with your mind and your personal life.
Exactly. And that brings me to my question of, how does Virginia stay focused?
Well, that's a good one. I have seasons of I'm killing it, I'm winning it, and everything is right in the world. And then something happens. And most of the time, it is me paying too much attention to my competition. And I'm on the Reels page too much. What I don't like about the Reels, there's lots of things I don't love about the Reels page, but the number one thing I don't like about the Reels algorithm is it's constantly feeding my competitors. If I get on the Reels page, it's all people talking about what I teach. So of course, it's going to make me compare myself to what they're doing and make me question what I'm doing. And here's what I know every single time is when I get off and I remember why I got to where I am in the first place. And this is why People Pleasers Express, and I'm getting to the lesson. This is why People Pleasers Express has been such a money maker and a follower maker for me, is when I focus on who I am and what makes me different, and the stuff that happened to me in my past that at one point I never thought I would have talked about, but now I use it to help other people. That's when my business takes off. It's not when I'm necessarily growing a lot of followers, because I had a successful launch, that 70,000 plus spike of followers, but I didn't make that much money than I did the launch before. Because at the end of the day, it's about the right people who are following you, the connections that you make, and the people that get you. I call them your people. You got to be the real you to get the real followers. And I was getting more followers, but they weren't necessarily my people. And when I get on a one-on-one call, or if I'm doing a live Q&A with the members of my course, that's when I realize this is why I'm here. It's not because I'm on Instagram trying to go viral and impress people with the number at the top of my account. It's because I want to help people see how they're different and how they can stand out in their industry. And business aside, how they can really come to love the person that they are, including all of the mistakes and the embarrassing moments and the challenges that they've had in their past.
This is so valuable. You have no idea. Let me ask you, what advice would you give yourself back when you first just had 1,000 followers on Instagram, knowing what you know now?
Stop trying to look like everyone else and look like you are prim and proper, perfect, and put together, because that's not what's going to get people's attention. And it's not what's going to make you happy. That was miserable. That's the person I was. Another character of mine is Sally News Anchor, because that was Sally News Anchor. She was on the news to impress people and try to find her self-worth, which was not on the news desk. And then she gets on Instagram and tries to impress people with her same on-camera Sally News Anchor persona. And I was boring. I mean, go look at my old videos. I was boring. I was trying really hard to impress people, but I was not getting anywhere fast.
Now we're all going to have to go hurry over to your account and look up those old videos.
Oh, and there's some really awkward ones too, but you can't get better until you begin bad. You have to just put the video out there and see it as a test. That is one thing I did really well in the beginning, is I stayed consistent with seeing it as a test. I still would get my feelings hurt. I still would get wrapped up in the vanity metrics, just like I do now. But you catch yourself now. When you're more intentional with your life, you recognize those bad habits and you pull yourself back. And that means, like last week, I stopped posting. And my viewers or my followers went backwards, and I knew it was going to. And it's okay, because what I learned in this season, which is we're always learning and getting better, is that I don't want my ideal person to feel like she has to crank out the videos like I do. I'm a video coach. And I also don't want her to think that I've got it all figured out, because I have moments where I'm way too obsessed with that stupid number at the top of my account. But what it made me realize is now I'm going to come up with a strategy, and I'm going to make it I don't know exactly what it is. I've kind of got an idea to really update my strategy so that I can help more people, so they don't feel like they are a slave to the algorithm.
Exactly. And once you've taught them the first part and they start getting on that hamster wheel, you'll have something new to teach them how to get off of that hamster wheel. And I love that. So what now motivates or inspires you?
Oh, wow. I'm a Christian. So, and I started off like so lost in the beginning, and I had nothing. Like, I was so miserable. And so I just said, okay, God, I'm going to play, because when I did my little activity, which is what I call the to-be list instead of the to-do list, I could see the person I was before life got complicated. And I started to try and be the best of everything, thinking that was going to be where all my worth and value was. And now it's just, he reminds, in those seasons that I'm kind of in and coming out of right now, he reminds me of, hey, I'm here. You don't always have to know exactly where we're going, but just trust that I'm going to catch you on the other side. And I think I'm crying right now because, aside from Instagram and business, the world is really uneasy right now. And he's reminding us all the time that I'm still here. I don't go anywhere. And so that inspires me. Is he may completely take me off of being a video coach. Something may happen where I'm just like not relevant anymore, but he's got other plans for me. And I've got to make sure my focus is on that, and not me always making the decisions and deciding where I'm going and thinking I know what's best.
Love it. I respect and appreciate that response. It was perfection. If you were looking for it, you got it. So, Virginia, this has been amazing. You have just completely covered us up with gold. And I am wondering, can you tell us a little bit about your course and where we can find you online?
Yes, this is Virginia Kerr, Kerr, on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And my course is called This Is Video School, and it's a lifetime access, value-packed course. I go over everything. If you want to be into character reels, I have all the lessons for that. I go into video editing tutorials, and then we do challenges every other month. And that's when I will go in and I will do a daily training inside our Facebook group. That's aside from the online course. And I will even take your videos and re-edit them to show you how you can make them better. And then we also have monthly Q&A sessions where I do the same thing. But they're really like my family. It's so fun to just see people light up when they see their direction and who their ideal person is. But most of all, when they see how much fun they can have with business when they let go of trying to be everything to everybody and fit in.
I can attest, I am in that group and it's amazing. You guys should definitely go check it out. Virginia, thank you so much for being a guest here, and I appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you so much, my friend, for listening to the podcast. I'm blessed every single time you come back and listen to an episode. It's especially amazing when you share it with others on social media. So be sure to follow Creatives on Fire online. Listen, if you have not already done so, I want you to go ahead and download the 5 ideas I personally used to explode my online audience growth to a 6-figure following. You can find that at creativesonfirepodcast.com. I appreciate you, and until next time, stay inspired.